A 100-year-old Japanese spice company named Ajinomoto recently saw its stock price rocket up 40%. The catalyst? Investors realized one of their legacy ingredients is used to build AI microchips. Other businesses are catching on quickly. Toto, a brand famous for toilets, and Allbirds, a shoe company, saw sudden, massive spikes in their stock valuations. They achieved this simply by releasing press statements associating themselves with artificial intelligence. We saw this exact pattern in the late 1990s. Back then, businesses with zero revenue attached a .com to their name and watched their valuations jump thousands of percent overnight. When companies completely unrelated to a technology see sudden, explosive growth just by mentioning its name, the market has detached from reality. We are looking at a classic financial bubble, and its biggest drivers are the same tech giants currently dominating the industry. The massive numbers propping up the AI boom aren't coming from new paying consumers. They come from a system among tech monopolies called circular financing. Here's how the loop starts. Microsoft officially invests $1 billion of fresh capital into OpenAI. Because OpenAI requires massive computing power to run their models, they take that exact same money and pay it right back to Microsoft to cover their Azure cloud server bills. Microsoft then takes that cash and buys powerful processors from NVIDIA. NVIDIA sees that AI is thriving, so they invest back into OpenAI. OpenAI even struck a deal using shares of its company to buy chips from AMD, using its own stock to pay the bill. This insular cycle of investment and service fees allows these corporations to report massive revenue growth, even as the capital remains concentrated within their shared ecosystem. If this loop is so obvious, you have to wonder why financial regulators and market experts aren't shutting it down.
The answer lies in personal profit. Take Michael Burry, the investor famous for predicting the 2008 housing crash. He is publicly calling out the AI bubble, but he also holds massive short positions. He stands to make billions if the market crashes. His warning is a calculated bet. Even the architects of the technology are hedging their reputation. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has publicly agreed that there is a bubble. This allows him to claim he warned the public if the market crashes, or take credit for navigating the storm if it holds. Meanwhile, hardware executives like NVIDIA's Jensen Huang, along with international governments, relentlessly push the narrative that AI is the definitive future. They need to sustain this belief to sell hardware and secure geopolitical dominance. Every major player is shaping the narrative to protect their own wealth. The financial hype we see every day is Wall Street fiction, deeply disconnected from the actual state of the technology. Eventually, one company in that circular cartel will stumble, the loop will break, and the financial bubble will pop. This chart illustrates the early 2000s .com crash. Notice how Amazon's stock plummeted 93%, yet the line representing global internet usage kept climbing without interruption. The companies that offered nothing but a flashy website and empty promises evaporated completely. But the platforms solving actual problems, like online payments and digital commerce, survived the crash and grew to dominate the global economy. AI will follow this trajectory. While speculative startups will run out of cash and disappear, the core architecture of the technology will integrate into our permanent infrastructure. While billionaires play games with valuations, the real-world consequences are already hitting everyday employees. Major IT service companies are currently conducting mass layoffs. To avoid terrible PR, they are explicitly telling the media that these cuts are part of an AI-driven restructuring. Look at this financial data. On the left, these companies report stagnant revenue growth of barely 1 to 2%. Yet on the right, net profits spiked by 30%. This came from slashing salary costs, not new AI products. The reality is that many employers are weaponizing the hype. They are using the threat of artificial intelligence as a convenient excuse to trim their workforce and justify salary cuts. We have hard employment data to prove exactly who is being targeted, compiled by top labor economists like Stanford's Eric Brynjolfsson. This area chart reveals the findings from SignalFire. Over the last 5 years, the percentage of total tech hiring dedicated to fresh graduates has plummeted from 19% down to just 7%. The vast majority of these eliminated roles belong to 22 to 25-year-olds holding degrees but lacking specialized experience. The industry is currently repricing the value of labor, discarding generalist roles to make room for specialized expertise.
If you are standing in the middle of the market with a generic skill set, you will be bulldozed. As the dust settles, the way you are compensated for your work is about to look completely different. We are seeing the introduction of compute tokens. Instead of just a standard paycheck, your employment package will include a base salary plus a strict budget of AI tokens to run enterprise models like Claude or Copilot. Your future performance reviews will no longer measure how many hours you worked. Managers will look at your token allocation and ask how efficiently you commanded those models to generate usable output. In a tokenized workplace, an employee's ability to maximize output with their allotted compute becomes the new standard for professional value. Moving forward, applying for jobs as a generic worker, even as a standard full-stack developer, is a complete dead end. To survive, you have to become an expert in a specific domain. You need to combine AI fluency with deep specialized knowledge, like navigating healthcare data privacy or executing legal compliance. Think about the people who learned to write basic HTML in 1988. They were mocked at the time, but they owned the tech industry a decade later. The multi-billion-dollar valuations are inflated, and the financial bubble will pop. But the tools being built right now are permanent. You can laugh at the hype, or you can master the technology, but only one choice keeps you employed.